today I'm going to be showing you how you could actually use algebra and solving systems of equations to solve this without having to guess and check a bunch of different times. So what I need to come up with first is my three equations that can represent this picture. So I'm going to start with my first picture, which is telling me that the cat and rabbit equal 10 kilograms. So I'm going to say C plus R is 10. My second picture shows a dog and rabbit, and they are 20 kilograms. And then lastly, I have my dog and cat, and they are 24. All right, from here we have three equations, and we can't solve any of them independently because we have two variables in the equation, and you have to only have one in order to solve for that variable. But if you notice, my bottom two equations, the first one has R and the second one has C, but they both have D in common. That shows me that I could rewrite these equations so that they're in terms of D, and then I can replace this first equation so that the only variable I have is D. Then I can solve it. So how I would do that is I want to get R by itself and C by itself. So we would have to subtract D off from both sides. And this equation would become R equals 20 minus D. And then my cat equation would become 24 minus D. Now you can see both equations are in terms of D. So when I replace C and replace R, my new equation will only have D, which means I can solve it. So instead of C, I'm going to put what C equals, which is 24 minus D. And then I'm going to replace R with what R equals, 20 minus D. And they tell us that C plus R equals 10, so equals 10. From here, you're going to combine your like terms. So I have 24 and 20 to get me 44. And then I have one negative D and another negative D, which would mean I have two negative D's. Now it just looks like a two-step equation, and we're going to go ahead and solve. So subtract off 44. And lastly, we're going to divide. So now we know the dog's weight. The dog is 17 kilograms. But they don't just want the dog's weight. They want what the combined weight of all three of them are going to be. So we need to figure out from here what the cat and rabbit equal, which is nice and easy because we created these equations already, which tells us rabbit equals 20 minus dog and cat equals 24 minus dog. So we can just plug in there. You could plug into the original equations as well, but why not just plug in and it's already in terms of R and C. So we now know the dog is 17, so instead of D, we're going to replace it and solve. So 20 minus 17, we would get 3. And 24 minus 17, we would get 7. So now we know our dog is 17, our rabbit is 3, and our cat is 7. And we could go and plug those back into each equation to make sure they work, right? Cat plus rabbit equals 10, that does check out. Dog plus rabbit equals 20, that also checks out. And then lastly, dog and cat is 24. So then the last part is finding out how much they all weigh together. So we're just going to add them up. 17 plus 3 is 20, plus 7 gets us an answer of 27 kilograms. Right? Because I had those equations, it made it nice and easy to solve. I didn't have to guess and check a bunch of times. I just had a system to get the answer.